What is the worst Resident Evil game? Now, before you say Resident Evil 6, you're wrong. It's a really fun co-op action game with addictive combat, and I'm gonna shut up now before I go on a tangent. A few weeks ago, I thought about this question, and instead of weighing the pros and cons of each game to determine which was the shittiest, I went to Metacritic and found the game with the lowest score, which happens to be Resident Evil Survivor for the PlayStation 1.
Resident Evil Survivor.
So the game starts off with a helicopter crash on Sheena Island, an island pretty much owned by Umbrella. They have a giant facility ran by this asshole named Vincent Goldman, a sadistic leader who isn't afraid to get his hands dirty whenever someone defies him. Almost everyone living on the island works under him or has a family member who does. You play as Amnesia Guy, who somehow survives the crash and with his gun must figure out who he is and survive whatever the hell is going on. Hence the title, Resident Evil Survivor. You also have to look after some kids and make sure they don't die or anything. The only thing you know about them is that their parents are dead and the boy's a little snitch. The plot is extremely simple, which I expected it to be, as this was released before the Resident Evil timeline got super wacky and convoluted. But I will say that this has to be the most filler tier game I've played in the series so far. The only thing connecting the events of this game to the others is that Leon gets name dropped towards the end. You spend the whole game walking from area to area collecting cutscenes and notes, while shooting down zombies and a SWAT team of monkey men who evaporate when they die. The notes serve the same purpose as they did in the past games, offering first-hand accounts and lore drops for those who are interested. Half of them end up being about how much of a dick Vincent is, which I find absolutely hilarious. The cutscenes are exactly what you would expect from an early Resident Evil game. The voice acting is wonky, the character animations are over-exaggerated, and the writing is mid as fuck. Just watch this.
No, this is me. I am Vincent. It was all my fault. Who are you?
Wait. Please don't kill me. I didn't know anything about you then.
Stop.
Every character interaction in this game has this awkward vibe to it, and I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it. A child's life could be in danger and I would be laughing in front of the TV because of the way a hunter effortlessly tackles him over the railing, and the fact that there should be some tense background music but it's just not there. So this whole affair is awkwardly quiet. I have a dumb sense of humor, so I'm probably the only one who finds this funny. But if I had $1 for every time this game's cutscenes made me laugh, then I'd probably have like $20. And if you convert that, it would be 20 McChickens. That's a lot of sandwiches. What was I talking about? Anyway, similar to the live selection feature in Resident Evil 3, in Survivor there are quite a few choices you can make that will shape your playthrough into a unique experience. Of course without the stress from Nemesis's ugly ass trying to kill you. You can take your time to make your decisions, which are all pretty much where do you want to go. Each area will have its own challenges and different rewards for completing them, and sometimes the path you take will change events that happen later in the game. For example, if you choose to go through the arcade at the beginning of the game, later you will be confronted by the leader of the Monkey Men, who will die to a tyrant immediately after he's introduced. But if you decide to go through the library instead, Danny DeVito will try to stop you and also be killed by a tyrant. Rest in peace, Danny DeVito, you short, funny man. I don't know if you can tell, but this game is a bit different from the other PlayStation 1 Resident Evils. It's actually a light gun game. Well, technically not in North America, as the GunCon support was dropped when it was localized. This was due to the aftermath of the Columbine shooting, which had news reporters trying to convince America that violent shooting games cause violence. So we got stuck with a light gunless light gun game. And I must admit that having to use the D-pad to aim at shit is not a fun time. Along with the combat switch, this game was made more arcadey? That's not a word. I can see a bit of the House of the Dead in it. They're both light gun games with zombies, so basically they're the same thing. Okay, maybe not. Unlike the House of the Dead, Resident Evil Survivor is not on rails, meaning you can walk around as you please, making it one of the first light gun games to do this. And to be honest, this is the only game that I know of besides the rest of the Gun Survivor series that is an off-rail shooter, so I'm guessing the idea wasn't very popular with your average gamer. Besides the change in the way combat works, Survivor plays pretty much the same as any other classic Resident Evil game. You have to use tankies and you can't move while you're shooting. Most of the items are the same. All your different color herbs are here for healing, and staple weapons like the shotgun and grenade launcher are here too. The only big change was going from a third-person point of view with fixed camera angles to a first-person point of view. That's really all there is to it. Oh, and there's also no saving, because fuck you. Yeah, not a single typewriter to be found in this game. Going into this, I thought it was going to be stressful, and then that feeling went away when I realized the game is about an hour long and super easy. Your handgun has unlimited ammo, which actually makes sense for a light gun game. Shooting at everything non-stop is kind of the point, and having to stop and look around for ammo would kill the game's fast pace. But that doesn't excuse being able to take 7 attacks before your status changes. This whole time I was afraid of tyrants, not knowing that I was the tyrant all along. By the time you get to the last boss, you will have an inventory filled with herbs because you never had to use any of them no matter how many times you got hit. Also, Amnesia Guy's pockets are bottomless pits. You can hold everything in there, there's just no limit. You could probably fit a tank in there if you tried hard enough. An inventory size of this magnitude effectively takes out all of the item management this series is known for, pretty much making Survivor baby's first Resident Evil. On top of everything, I didn't even realize that there was an arcade-style continue system until I purposely let myself die, and apparently you get 4 continues, which is crazy because I can't imagine anyone using more than one. I mentioned that this game has a fast pace, and to keep it going, the puzzles were dumbed down to the point where they're pretty much non-existent. The most puzzle thing you do is pick up an item from one room and put it in something in the next. No thinking involved, which is great for me because I actually have an oatmeal raisin cookie for a brain. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this. On one hand, I feel like the puzzles are a crucial part of what made those Resident Evil games so special, but on the other hand, if they were to be added to the game, then it would probably mess up the whole arcade flow and perhaps make the game worse than it already is. This game is ugly. Yeah. I think this mostly has to do with pre-renders not being used. Pretty much everything is real-time 3D, but it just doesn't look very good. I kinda wish they would have waited to make this game on the PlayStation 2, and maybe that would save it from being not pretty. I don't know if you've noticed, but almost every enemy in the game was lifted from the other games. Lickers, hunters, tyrants, and zombie dogs are the exact same models from Resident Evil 1 and 2. And all of the new enemy designs seem uninspired to me, except for the Pepsi Man Tyrant over here. The lack of new stuff or variety really blows. I admit that seeing Tyrant for the first time caught me off guard and I thought, wow, that's a great scare. But that feeling starts to wear off when he's brought out every 5 minutes. I understand that tyrants are being mass produced on this island, but does there have to be a cave with 5+ tyrants in it and nothing else? It's super repetitive and really boring, to be honest. The whole game is just a cycle of shooting at lickers, then hunters, then tyrants, then back to lickers. Like, can I get a new type of enemy? Maybe something cool and creative? No? Okay. It got to the point where I would just run past everything, or try to at least, because this game has a weird aim assist thing that's broken up into two parts. There's what you would expect from an aim assist, the game correcting your shots by putting the crosshair on the enemy if you aim close enough to it, but then it also forces you to turn towards an enemy that attacks you. So while trying to run away from things, I'm constantly involuntarily being stopped and forced to turn around and look at the monsters I'm trying to get away from. This happens to me a lot on the final boss, and it makes it 10 times harder to dodge his next attack. He's so thick that you need to make a 90-degree turn before you can run past him. I mean, we like him thick on this channel, but this is just an inconvenience. So, after playing Resident Evil Survivor, I have realized that this may actually be the worst Resident Evil game I've played. But, B-U-T-T, I don't think that this is a bad game. Now, is it a good game? Of course not. It is nowhere near being a good game. But, it is okay. Mediocre, if you will. I enjoyed playing it despite its many flaws, and I encourage Resident Evil fans to at least try the game for themselves, because okay games deserve love too. Gamer juice. Need some gamer fuel, dude. Mix it in with my monster, dude. Need some gamer fuel, dude. How am I gonna clean this gamer gunk without my gamer fuel and my gamer gunk spray? The fuck am I talking about?